All righty. Gentlemen, how are you?
Great.
Doing great. How are you?
Super good. No complaints so far. Getting pretty close to Explore here. I think we've got 47 days until Explore comes around. Are you guys getting ready?
Yep,
Yes,
we're
pretty
preparing.
exciting.
And is my information correct? Both of you are going to be there and presenting?
Yes, that is
That's
correct.
Fantastic. Well, look forward to seeing both of you out there. I know we've got a lot planned. Got the VCF 9 launch going to be front and center in a lot of things, a lot of hot AI topics. And I think that's why we're here today. So good to see both of you. Looks like everybody's here. And again, just quick announcement before I let you take off here. We are currently having registration for Explore. So if you have not yet gotten your tickets out there, get your tickets now. I'm going to have a lot of good programming, very, very heavy technical content this year. In fact, especially from last year, radically the voices came out and said, "Hey, we want to get really technical." So we're going to have a lot of good technical sessions, 300 level deep dives, and certification this year. In fact, we've got a little special deal with certification. Thursday for Explore is going to be all certification all the time with your Explore Pass. So be sure to take advantage of that. That's a huge deal. So, and in the meantime, there's going to be tons of breakout sessions, meet the expert sessions. We're going to have the demo area is going to be open. I think both of you guys are working demo, right? Or
Yep,
yep.
yep.
Fantastic. So with that, content catalog is currently open, so you can see what's available. But on the 16th, the schedule builder opens up. So if you are registered, you can go ahead and start pre-registering for the various sessions that are out there. So that's going to be on the 16th, which is coming right around the corner next week. So with that, that's pretty much all I got. So gentlemen, if you want to take it away.
Sounds great. Thank you so much. So quick introduction to myself and Justin. I work as the Principal Product Marketing Engine Manager here at Broadcom. I've been at Broadcom about 3.5 years or so, or from the prior VMware era. I lead messaging and positioning for private AI and have led all the marketing launches. Justin?
Hey, good morning, folks. Thank you for attending. I'm Justin Murray from Product Marketing at Broadcom, colleague of Shobhit's, and working entirely on AI, GPUs, and VMware Private AI Foundation with NVIDIA.
Wonderful. All right, so we've got a lot of exciting things planned today, folks, for you. We're going to give you an overview of AI, Gen AI, talk about the challenges of Gen AI, how Broadcom is solving it with VMware Private AI Foundation with NVIDIA, go through use cases, and then get to the exciting part about what's new. And then Justin has an exciting demo as well. And so we'll get to through these details, and we'll share some resources. And I'm sure Andrew's kind of mentioned at the beginning as well. Please put in any of your questions in the question in the chat box, and then we will take them as we go, and then we'll try and leave some time in the end as well to tackle, but we'll try and tackle your questions as we go as well. So with that, let's get started. So here are some exciting metrics, right? Like AI is new, right? Is no longer the case, right? Everybody understands the immense potential of AI. It is one of the biggest trends that will transform industry in the next decade or so. Clearly, I mean, if you look at some of the metrics here shared on the screen, right? The economic impact is enormous, with $4.4 trillion as the economic impact expected across all industries and use cases by 2028. And this came from a McKinsey report. Now, Gartner's come out with another very interesting forecast, right? That 95% of organizations will have Gen AI into their daily operations from just 15% right now in 2025. I mean, that's a massive number, right? It's AI is in the space where Kubernetes was roughly about 10 years back or so. Kubernetes was the newbie, so to speak, right? Everybody wanted to be do Kubernetes, but Kubernetes does not drive that level of excitement. Everybody expects it into all your operations. They expect it into all your applications. AI is in the same space. AI is moving a lot faster, right? Because the amount of investment that's going into AI is tremendous, right? Depending on which survey analyst, et cetera, you talk to, hundreds of billions of dollars. Some projections go up to trillions, right? So it's really, the investment is tremendous. Last time I checked, the amount of startups in this space, outside of all the big guys like Microsoft, et cetera, is also tremendous. There's about 4,000 different startups that are working in this space. So you are looking at a massive transformation here, right? The potential of AI is very impressive. And if you're not thinking about AI right now, you are missing out tremendously. It's something you should definitely get on the truck. Talk to your management and leadership. We've got the best solution. We'll walk you through some of that stuff right now. So with that, now, as much as AI is catching excitement, enterprises tell us there's a lot of challenges they're facing in deploying AI. We've been in this space 5+ years at this point. Like, the first version of our AI platform actually came out way before AI became this big of a deal, 2018 or so. So we've been in this space now 5 to 7 years, give or take, right? And so we have a tremendous amount of experience. So that's why we hear directly from enterprises. And enterprises are telling us that choice is one of the biggest things that they're concerned about. They want to get on their AI journey, and organizational needs. They want to be able to adopt it based on that. Cost remains always a challenge, right? With any new technology, there's always the concern that cost may spike up. So that obviously remains a big challenge of you guys, right? You've told us a lot of times. Performance is a big one, right? Gen AI or AI in general requires a lot of infrastructure, right? Fine-tuning, customizing, deployment, querying, all of these are intensive. And scaling up can be a massive challenge without access to adequate resources. And it can get very expensive, like I was just mentioning. Compliance is a big one, particularly in the EMEA space, right? Organizations in different industries and current countries have different compliance and legal needs that Gen AI must meet, right? Or AI in general. So these are some of the top ones, but the number one that customers tell us about is privacy, right? If you go in and, for example, put in any query or information into an open model, unless you have specific agreements, right, that AI data may very well get used for training the AI. And that's a massive concern to organizations from the standpoint of both data as well as from the standpoint of access controls. It's a big deal, right? You don't want your information to get shared out externally within the organization, right? That's a big deal. Like, think about the public sector or the 3-letter agencies, etc. Data is a big one. Access, who's accessing the data, that's a big one. So all of those concerns together, privacy remains the number one concern. And this is why a lot of the organizations are very excited, but they're also very wary, so to speak, about AI. And this is why Broadcom and NVIDIA have partnered together to produce this platform called VMware Private AI Foundation with NVIDIA. We promise privacy as the number one thing that we deliver as part of this platform. If you look at the bottom layer of this platform, right? VMware Cloud Foundation, right? We're part of VCF division, as my t-shirt also says, right? VCF forms that infrastructure layer, right? That gives excellent capabilities for enterprises to do deployments of all types, AI and non-AI, right? And the biggest thing customers get out of the ability from VCF is the ability to deploy your AI very privately and securely, and be very compliant, right? Because VCF is a very infrastructure and enterprise-friendly platform, which has already been tailored for years now at this point, 10+ years, to give you compliance. So that's the number one value add that we provide. The middle layer, what we call the private AI package, is an extra SKU that we require the customers to buy to be able to leverage these AI functionalities. This gives you phenomenal capabilities, right, to basically enable privacy and security, right? That's the number one thing, like you said, is that every layer of this platform, we're giving you further and additional strong capabilities for privacy security. And it really simplifies the infrastructure that you require to manage your software, manage your environment, and then get your environment basically AI ready. So that's really the infrastructure piece of it. Now, the super exciting part that we're now going in, that we've made a lot of new, that we've deployed a lot of new things in this new version 9.0 that just released last month. And so I should mention that last month, as part of VCF 9.0, we've added a ton of new capabilities, right? And that's why, obviously, what's new, like we said, is the topic of this presentation. And as part of this, a lot of new exciting capabilities have been launched, which really streamline model deployment, right? At the end of the day, you want your infrastructure to be optimized, but you also want the ability to do very optimized model deployment as well. So Justin will talk a lot more about this third element. So important thing here to note is there's 3 SKUs to buy, right? The top layer, VCF is 1, private AI package is the number 2, and then number 3 is the NVIDIA AI Enterprise. NVIDIA Enterprise gives all the powerful capabilities where now you can use these models, deploy them easily, and then as well as that, you can start getting answers and deploy chatbots, things like that on top of your platform, right? So that's kind of the value add this platform provides. And we really help customers do this at an optimum cost, as the lowest possible cost across the business, right? So we'll go to get into that in a second. And then everything is supported by all the top OEMs, like you can see at the bottom, Dell, HP, Lenovo, and more. Now, we launched this platform last year, 5 quarters back or so. And since then, it's been very, very massive amounts of the reception has been awesome. There's a lot of interest. And there's a lot of customers as well that are continuously signing in. Our list of logos is massive at this point. And so customers are very excited about it. What do we provide that makes this very exciting? The key over here is, like I was mentioning in the beginning, VCF is an optimum platform for all kinds of workloads, AI, non-AI, containers, everything, right? And so AI is just another workload for VCF. It gives you massive scale, great infrastructure, the ability to really scale up your infrastructure. And guess what? It's optimized for all kinds of workloads. Now, speed and agility is a big one, right? From the standpoint of the ability to deploy and your entire platform, from compute, storage, networking, VCF gives you that. Resource sharing, VCF as well as private AI package in combination with NVIDIA Enterprise gives some very interesting resource sharing capabilities, like basically GPUs, right? The ability to virtualize and share GPUs, and then the vGPU construct, that NVIDIA Enterprise has given. Our platform is very, very well set up with that for 10 plus years, even prior to the AI era, right? The ability to be able to deploy workloads right next to where your servers are at gives another level of very fantastic optimization of how AI workloads are placed. Now, finally, centralized ops, right? It's one platform. Using that one platform, you can turn around and really just deploy anything you want. It's that same management layer that customers are very used to, and that centralized ops layer is a big one. Now, the most important thing here is we do this at the best possible cost, right? You have fewer tools to work with. You have fewer processes. We can intelligently share AI infrastructure between the different applications. Other providers do this too, but the efficiency that they put, actually goes into their pocket while we turn around and actually pass that cost on to you, right? And using our stack, customers can get some really massive financial benefits. And now, what we give with this is obviously privacy, like that's the central promise, right? Private AI Foundation with NVIDIA, VMware Private AI Foundation with NVIDIA, that's in our name. That's what we deliver. And we deliver up to 90% lower cost versus comparable public cloud, right? And up to 29% lower cost versus bare metal environment, right? So this is a very interesting thing to understand. Our cost structure is massively more efficient than our competitors, right? So this is why this platform really delivers some maximum great value for you. So I briefly touched on this, like when I was explaining the platform, right? What we do is three things. We enable privacy and security, right? We give you best level privacy and security across the entire enterprise, across your infrastructure. We give you great capabilities to do, manage your infrastructure really well, simplify infrastructure management, and really get your environment really ready, right? So you can now easily do AI deployments. And then finally, we give you some really exciting capabilities to streamline your models and how you manage and run them. And Justin will talk a little more about this third box. Now, where does this platform shine, right? And which use cases do we do really well on? We do very good. We have a lot of success doing document search and summarization, which customers are very, very excited about, right? The ability to just look through documents, policies, procedures, things like that. Content generation, at the end of the day, it's Gen AI, right? Is one of the most important parts of the AI business today, right? And it's giving, which is actually the one that's caused AI to become so popular, right? Across creative writing, marketing campaigns, product specification, if you want to do documentation of any sort, but those kind of things that we do really well. Code gen, there's a very exciting part of our, what we offer to customers by building chatbots on top of our platform. They boost productivity by really, doing streamlining the development cycle, reducing errors, accelerating development. So there's a lot of good things that customers can do using the code gen piece, right? Contact centers, by building chatbots on top of VMware Private AI Foundation, contact centers can enable some very high quality and fast and personalized support for their customers. Now, if you look at these bottom numbers, the productivity enhancements are very exciting. 7 to 10% in case of doc search, going up from 14 to 35% in case of contact centers. These numbers are from Gartner, from a Gartner study. We have the sources, etc., for you here. So one of the biggest things enterprises are asking today is, how can you help me justify to my management the spend I need to make, right? So this Gartner studies that we pointed out to is completely independent third-party Gartner study, right? And they've done some research and come out with some very exciting numbers here from productivity that should help you justify your AI spend. Finally, agentic AI, a little bit futuristic, but getting a ton of lot of interest this year. And guess what? We have a capability that you can actually do agentic AI as well. Organizations can leverage AI-driven insights, right, for operations like predictive maintenance, automation, things like that. And this space, guys, is going to see a lot of excitement. We're going to have these projections that I've seen, which say, anywhere from 5 to 10 billion agents will operate in the next 3 to 4 years. Doing a whole bunch of automated real-time actions for enterprises, which can be fairly manual today, or difficult to do because of scripting, etc., may or may not give you all those capabilities. So one of the things customers ask is, how can I do some as a service kind of on-demand infrastructure that I can offer to the different business units, right? IT, there's a prime need that IT has today, right? The ability to section, GPUs, right? And give you private spaces. So different organizations can have their own play space, so to speak, right? And our solution absolutely enables that as well, right? So if customers want to do like on-demand provisioning of capabilities like Jupyter Notebooks, models as a service, etc., our platform will give you that capability as well through our GPU as a service capabilities. So across all these seven use cases that I just mentioned, the ability for you to be able to do AI deployments and get some really great productivity enhancements is massive, right? And so that's the key message I want you to take out of this. Now let's go into the cool stuff that we've launched in 9.0, right? As part of 9.0 announcement that came out last month, sorry. Some of these capabilities have already been in motion for a while, like Model Store. This was generally available last year, right? As part of our Explore announcement in 2024, right? Where we basically do provide, curate and provide secure LLMs, right? With RBAC, right? So, you can do very easily, you can do some governance, right? So not every model across the board can actually be easily deployed, without the admin driving it. So that's the control that the Model Store provides. Next one, software security patching through NVIDIA Enterprise, right? Like we said, privacy and security. So we're doing everything we can to give you further and better control. And by buying the NVIDIA AI Enterprise SKU, that's the third SKU, like I was mentioning, it has management software already included for doing workload infrastructure utilization, right? And NVIDIA commits to doing, regular patching and, critical and high CVEs, right, on a regular basis for production branches. So long-term support and long-term support on top of that, right? So you have an ability to be able to do some secure management of the NVIDIA and of some of the other software tools, etc., that you end up deploying as part of your deployment. Now, the most exciting one is, or the newest one we have is really air gap support, right? A lot of our customers have mentioned that they want to be able to segregate, in air gapped environments and be able to do AI even in those air gapped environments. And now, starting with 9.0, right, as of last month, we have now made this ability to do air gap support is now available as a part of the platform, and now you can do AI on segregated AI, air gapped environments as well. The confidentiality and critical assets that now you can actually, secure and then do AI. That's really the massive and exciting part that we've announced as part of the privacy security pillar. Let's look at each one of these in a little bit. Look at this in a little bit more detail. So, since we already have some of these capabilities generally available, we're not going to spend too much energy on the other stuff that I just mentioned, NVIDIA Enterprise as well as the Model Store, because they've been out. So we'll talk about specifically in detail the newer stuff, right? So here is the before environment as it stands today, right? When customers do deploy, do AI deployments, right? There is on the NVIDIA has something what we call the NGC catalog. It's basically the NVIDIA GPU cloud, right? It's basically part of NVIDIA AI Enterprise, right? That's really what the license gets you, is access to the NGC cloud. And NGC cloud gives you a ton of different software packages and software libraries, etc., that you can pull down and start working, do AI deployments. Today, when there's when through the quick start capability that we have in our platform, there's a lot of AI infrastructure elements that the quick start capability offers, that our platform offers. Again, this is one of the capabilities that we already have in the platform. We call the AI blueprints. Through the AI blueprints, you're able to set up these AI infrastructure elements, right? And these infrastructure elements with deep learning VM templates, catalog objects, these are required for doing a whole bunch of AI infrastructure activities, infrastructure management activities. And today, what we do is, the way it's set up right now, before was there's a whole bunch of automated software calls that are being done through the NGC catalog, and a lot of software gets pulled in for doing for DLVM catalog objects, things like that. However, after this capabilities it has been deployed, there is not going to be any automated software calls. It's all going to be AI. It's all going to be admin control. That's the key change that we've delivered. So NGC, when the admin decides he's ready to do an update, pull down a model, get new software libraries, he clicks a button or works through the interface, and then goes the new software is now pulled from NGC catalog. It goes to this on-premises repositories, then gets embedded inside these infrastructure elements, and this is really what the quick start capability drives. So the key here is it's admin controlled and it's no longer automated software calls. So that's the capability and the new enhancement. Moving on to simplify infrastructure setup, right? Why did we spend any energy on this, right? We know AI models today are complex, costly to architect, right? These are the direct feedback you guys have given us. And it's rapidly evolving with new vendors, SaaS components, and really bleeding edge AI software support, right? I mean, software, which is really one of the key challenges you've told us. In this complex environment, right, Private AI Foundation with NVIDIA has enabled a whole bunch of capabilities to really simplify your infrastructure setup from an AI perspective. The number one new capability that we've launched in this is what we call the vGPU profile visibility, where all GPUs across the GPU footprint can easily be viewed. And I'll share a UI here in a second, a little bit more detail. And like I was mentioning, day zero complex AI objects can easily be deployed with the AI Blueprints Quick Start. This has been there since the start of the platform, but really the stuff that we have here in Start, this is the new capabilities. And finally, RAG applications through vector databases. Vector databases today are the most important part of how to even get started with AI. Really, it's all vectorized data, right? So that sums up kind of like our infrastructure management. The top capabilities that, again, what I'm sharing with you is very small from the top capabilities. There's a ton more, but really what we're highlighting, what we're going to talk today a lot more about is the newer stuff, right? The vGPU profile visibility, for example. But there's a lot more behind each one of these buckets, right? That you can look at if you get in conversations, though, we can share the entire thing with you. And there maybe be a slide on the end of this presentation as well. Now, this is how the UI screen looks like today, right? Post the launch, right? Where all GPUs across the entire GPU, footprint of the enterprise can now be reviewed. It can now be easily seen in this UI screen. And vGPUs are a very important part of the platform in general, right? They allow basically a physical GPU to be shared across multiple VMs, right? And really helps maximizing GPU utilization. Why is this even important? Because GPUs are expensive, right? You want to be able to virtualize it. You want to be able to get maximum amount of VMs, right? To be able to utilize the GPUs. And this is really where vGPU functionality shines. And what we've done is we made it very easily now for customers for admins now to be able to track all the vGPUs versus doing a whole bunch of manual tracking of the vGPUs, right? And the allocation across GPUs. If you think about a big enterprise, right, with 10, 20, 30 GPUs or whatever, split across a lot of vGPUs, this can become a very tedious manual task. And this stuff may change, right? This capability was announced originally in last year, and now it is generally available. So if you're thinking about, hey, I did hear about it last year, yes, you're right, you did, but it was not available. We just made a pre-announcement to kind of give you a teaser of what's coming, and now this capability is now generally available. So now with this, I'm going to hand off to Justin to talk about some really cool new exciting capabilities in this streamlined model deployment capability, and then Justin will take you right to the finish.
Thank you very much, Shobhit. Anders, we were going to do a poll. Did you want to take an opportunity to do it now?
Absolutely.
Yes,
let's do it. Give me 30 seconds. I'll get that up right now.
Thank you.
This is a good one. All righty. Are you deploying today, and let us know how? We'll leave this up for just about a minute so we can get back into the presentation. I know we got a demo coming up here too. Wow. Looks like some good results coming in here. Couple surprises. Give it about another 10 seconds, so hop in if you've not yet already. Three, two, one. All righty. Let's take a look at what we got here. Got 13% in the cloud, 18% on-premise, 11% doing a hybrid, and 58% not yet. I kind of expected the not yet, but some surprises on the on-prem and the hybrid there.
Yeah, thanks very much for answering that poll, folks. And that's very encouraging that you're both doing it on premises and in some cases on the cloud. We're doing this almost entirely on premises. So that's part of the security element that Shobhit, my colleague, talked about earlier. What I'll do here is focus in on the new aspects that come out with VCF 9.0, as Shobhit mentioned, shipped a few weeks back. And you can see the stars against the top four items on here. Model runtime is a major component. And as its name implies, it allows you to take a model out of a local repository. That local repository is our model store, and run it, bring it to life. And we do that in the simplest possible way. And that follows the theme of making AI as easy as possible for regular users to bring up models and bring up applications that use those models. The API gateway is really a protection mechanism built tightly integrated with the model runtime. This is to take away the access to models directly and put them through a layer of authentication and authorization. And we'll say more about that in a second. It's really to protect your models from abuse or use by people that don't have the rights to access them. Data indexing and retrieval is a separate thing, and we're referring to these things as services here. Private AI services is a collective term for these. Data indexing and retrieval, as its name implies, heavily focuses on the data that you want to augment your model with in a retrieval augmented generation style. And that's the process of loading data into a vector database. And we'll see that in the demo here in a few seconds. And then now that you've got models running in your runtime, now that you've got data indexed in your vector database, what brings those two things together? The thing that brings them together is an agent, and we give you an agent builder to create that agent in rapid order. You're going to see that here in a minute. A sort of thing that we've had for quite a while, almost from the beginning of VMware Private AI, is integration with the NVIDIA NIM. NVIDIA NIM stands for NVIDIA Inference Microservice. And that's a very sophisticated way of also downloading models and running them in containers. That's built into our deep learning VM and our Kubernetes AI workstation technology that's been around since the beginning. You can think of the four items at the top as raising the bar up to the services level, as in cloud-like services, so that you're no longer thinking about VMs, you're no longer thinking about Kubernetes, you're thinking about the services to create an application at that level, higher level approach, as you're going to see. So now, here's a view of all this from a process perspective. We expect you to be pulling models from NVIDIA, pulling models from Hugging Face, pulling models from Meta, from Mistral, from a variety of sources. Your data scientists will want to experiment with the latest models. And that experiment should be conducted in a safe place to begin with, a deep learning VM, what we call an AI workstation that we provision from VCF Automation today. You could pull those using the NGC CLI, NVIDIA GPU Cloud CLI. And then once you've tested those models for accuracy, for bias, for hallucinations, for fairness, for performance even, once you've tested them in that unique zone or DMZ there, implemented as a deep learning VM, you'll push them up to the model store, which is Harbor, so that people in the enterprise can use these now to build applications. The models have been value tested and have been CVE tested. Later on, somebody building an application is going to choose a model from Harbor, our repository, pull it down and bring it to life in the runtime, and then add to that model, augment that model with index data from a vector database, and do that under the control of the agent builder. That's the full life cycle as we see it. And these are done separately from each other, as you see left and right here. The focus in the remaining minutes here are going to be on the right-hand side of this diagram. Now, I mentioned an API gateway, and I mentioned that this is a sort of front end to a collection of models. It's where we standardize the API, and we use the de facto standard out there in the industry, the OpenAI API, to talk to the model and get it to do something for you. The API gateway implements that, and behind the scenes, there are different models running as endpoints. They're running in the runtime. Under the covers of the runtime is a VKS cluster, but what you see is a model endpoint. It's effectively an address for accessing a model. Once that address is identified, we now have, provided we have the appropriate authentication and authorization rights, we have access to deploy and run any model that we want to, and you're going to see this. Here's an example of creating a knowledge base. This is the vectorization of data as it flows into your vector database. And we're going to see this in some detail, how we construct this knowledge base. Think of a knowledge base as a collection of data sources that are suitable for indexing, for placing into the vector database. There's a whole process behind the scenes here, which we don't worry too much about. We allow the retrieval, data indexing and retrieval service to do the work for us. And the real crux of the matter is what we do with that model and with that index data. And that's something we call creation of an agent being an autonomous action taker or tool caller that goes out to the model, asks it to do something, goes to the vector database, asks it for data that is pertinent to a user question, and then combines the two to give an answer. We'll see that in a second here. So we'll see it right now, in fact. Let me jump into my demo here and bring this down for a second. So here's Harbor. Here's our model repository. And I'm going to select two models out of this. This is a local repository of models that we've brought down from the outside world and we've tested and carefully put into our model repository here. This one, Mistral 7B Instruct version 2, you're going to see in a few seconds. I'm going to pull that down and make it my completions model. In data science terms, the completion model completes the answer to the customer question. But there's another model I'm going to use here from Automated Test Main repository. You can see me using different repositories for different models here. I'm going to use this BGE model as an embeddings model. That's the model that's going to take data and index it and process it before it goes into my vector database. So two models are going to be deployed here. And I'm going to deploy those models by saying, give me a new model endpoint, please. When I do that, I'm required to give the address from Harbor. This is the Harbor address of that BGE model that we just looked at. And if this model were protected in any way, I would have to supply a secret key to get it. I'm not going to have to do that here because this model is available to everybody. And I'm going to say next. And I'm going to give it an internal name that we're going to refer to it by later on. And this is not a completions model. This is an embeddings model. Embeddings are the things that are loaded into vector databases. They're numeric representations of your text. We give you already a runtime for that. It's called Infinity. And then we allow you to add some more advanced arguments to it. I won't do that here. But what I do need to choose is, when I run this model, do I want to run it on a GPU or not a GPU? And I'm going to choose not running this on a GPU because it's a relatively small model. And I'm going to tell it what storage to use. And I'm done. I'm ready to deploy this model. And there it is deployed and running alongside a previous model that was running before I started. So this is an embeddings model. I'm going to create a second one now. And this shows you how easy this is. That's the Mistral 7B Instruct version 2 that we looked at in Harbor just now. And this time, this is a protected model, so I have to give a secret key to get at that. This is the evidence of authentication authorization in action here. And that's just one layer of it. I give it a routing name, and I give it a display name so as we can talk about it when we come to build it in the agent. And this is a completions model. This is a model that's going to complete the answer to any customer question. This is going to run on VLLM, which is a very famous runtime for models from UC Berkeley, as it turns out. And I'm going to say next here. This time I am going to use a GPU to enable this model, and I'm going to choose a particular VM class. That is the shape of the VM that's going to have a GPU on it. As you can see, this has got a vGPU profile that Shobhit mentioned. And I'm going to choose that to run this because this is a model that needs GPUs. Choose its storage and say next. And deploy model endpoint. And a few minutes later, I have my Mistral Instructo 2 model running. So now we have two models running in the runtime. How are we going to use them? Well, we're going to use the embeddings model here as we create a knowledge base, which is going to be the foundation of our vector database. And we're going to give this a name to do with memory tiering. This is simply an area that we would like to talk about some more. And we're going to create this knowledge base from local files. We're going to load in some local files into the vector database for use in the retrieval augmented generation RAG design. In order to index it, that is loaded into the vector database, I'm going to use the BGE model that we just started in the runtime. I'm going to split this PDF document or set of documents into sentences, and I'm going to have them have 200 tokens in each chunk, and the chunks may overlap by 30 tokens. That's okay, is what I'm saying here. And finally, I'm now going to add a local file. This could represent your local database, your local SharePoint files, your local Google directory files, your S3 compatible data files. A whole bunch of data sources are supported here in the first version of this. So I'm going to choose just a single PDF, but typically I would choose 50 to 100 PDFs to upload into my vector database. And once I say close here, you'll see that indexing is in progress and now completed, meaning that PDF document has been loaded into the vector database, and I can add more files and re-index this database at any time. This indexing process, this storing of data into the vector database, relieves me of the responsibility of having to retrain the model. I don't have to change the model. The model is going to accept this data from the vector database as the real source of truth. And you can see you can have multiple of these knowledge bases over time from different data sources. The third main service that we're going to use is the agent builder. And here we're going to create an agent, which is going to tie together the model endpoint that we created from Mistral Instruct and the vector data now, the data in the vector database, tie them together into the beginnings of a RAG application. So let's do that. We're going to give this a name. This is going to be internal product information. This might be serving somebody in a contact center to give them answers to questions that are not publicly viewable on the outside internet or not visible to models that are in the public cloud. This is private data that is only known to us. And this is going to be a very simple chatbot to support customer support requests. And we're going to choose the the completion model that we constructed earlier, Mistral Instructo 2, that was built in the runtime a few moments ago. We could add instructions to it like, you are a friendly agent that responds in a knowledgeable way. Do not make anything up, but instead read your data from the vector database and treat that as the master. And we're going to tell it about the vector database here in the data indexing. We did a memory tiering document that we loaded into the vector database. We're going to tell it how many chunks should you retrieve and how similar should those chunks be to the question being asked. And if there are references, append them as markdown so that we can cite the documents from which we got the correct answer to the user. We can tell them this document was where I found the answer to your question. And we're going to keep a history of our chat with the users so that if we get the same question twice in a row, we can answer that from the chat history rather than going back through the process. And we can choose various things here like expiration, etc. So we're going to create our agent now, and that's our agent created and available. And you can see a very primitive user interface to the agent on the bottom right-hand side here. I'm going to ask it, what is the VMware memory tiering feature, as one example of a question that a customer might ask. And there's the model, the completions model, taking data out of the vector database, reformatting that information into a respectable answer and giving you a good answer to the question here. You might want even a shorter answer than this, and we could instruct it to do that for you if you liked. So what you saw there was retrieving models out of Harbor and building them into a runtime, giving them life, indexing the data, placing it in the vector database, and the agent brought them all together into one application. Now, this agent might be used as part of a real sophisticated chatbot that calls the agent to do this type of work. So, all right, that was our demo. Let's go back now and talk about the new things in 9.0. Okay, so underlying everything in 9.0 is the concept of multi-tenancy, and multi-tenancy shows up as a concept called organizations. These are Department 1 and Department 2 in the business that I want to serve and keep them independently. If I'm a cloud service provider, a CSP, as mentioned in the subtitle there, I might have these as separate companies that I'm serving from the same infrastructure. And I separate them by means of the concept of organization. Within organizations, you see here, I have projects, and there are namespaces and regions and other concepts to allow me to completely separate one tenant, one organization from the other, but keep them on the same infrastructure and even share that infrastructure among them. There's a lot of detail behind this. Remember the concept of organization. That's the key aspect of multi-tenancy, and the concept of a project. And all of the work that I showed you in my demo earlier was within the context of one project for one tenant. Shobhit mentioned the idea of viewing all the GPUs in your environment and then viewing all the virtual GPUs within that. All of that's integrated into VCF operations. And what you're looking at here is one of several dashboards in VCF operations at the infrastructure level that tells you which of my clusters have GPUs, which are the GPU-equipped clusters, and of those clusters, which are the hosts that are using the most GPU usage. As you see down here at the bottom, this host here, 409, is using 99% of its GPU memory. That might be a good thing. That might be efficient use of the GPU memory. GPU memory is a very premium quantity. But now you see both at the physical GPU level and at the virtual GPU level, if I were to go into that dashboard, which consumer is consuming most of my GPU power and which consumers are not using the GPU power, giving me the capability to put more workloads onto that. So capacity planning, monitoring your GPUs and virtual GPUs across the entire set of clusters, hosts, and VMs is now enabled in 9.0 in a big way. So summarizing now, what we're doing at the highest level is simplifying the creation of AI applications for you. So we want to increase your productivity by deploying AI workloads faster. As you saw in my demo there, it took 5 minutes to go from model repository all the way to agent-based application. Fine-tune those models if you want to, customize those models. Although in a retrieval augmented generation, there is a limit to how much fine-tuning and customizing you would need to do. We very much believe in retrieval augmented generation, which is the combination of a large language model, the Mistral Instruct model in my case with a database, and the capability to run inference is important to us. That is, placing the models that you've retrieved already pre-trained from Mistral, from Hugging Face from NVIDIA NGC, placing those models into a runtime, augmenting them with the vector database, and having them available to build applications in a rapid way. All the while maintaining this as another workload in your data center with privacy and all the features that Shobhit talked about so well at the beginning. So we want to enable privacy and security, simplify the infrastructure management, and streamline deployment. And these have been talked about already by Shobhit, but what we're doing is based on Model Store, being able to talk about secure models, models that have been tested, proven to be secure, as opposed to any old model that I pick up from the outside world. Models that have been carefully checked in the DMZ, deep learning VM that we saw at the beginning. A lot of our customers are into cybersecurity and they want air-gapped setup where they're not connected to the internet. All of this is supported on there. And there is patching from NVIDIA AI Enterprise. We want to take away the task that certain users we observe have been using, which is creating a spreadsheet of all the virtual GPUs and how they're deployed onto physical GPUs. We're doing that now inside operations, inside the vCenter client, the vSphere client UI. So manual tracking of virtual GPUs no longer a requirement. We're giving you full vGPU visibility to tackle that problem. Very much focused on RAG applications to begin with as an easy on-ramp into your AI deployment. And vector databases are a key to that. And as Shobhit mentioned, you can deploy deep learning VMs and AI Kubernetes clusters if you want to go to that level through the AI blueprints that we supply as part of VCF automation and the quick start that does that. In particular, I think the impressive features in 9.0 that are brand new are the ability to simplify model usage with the model runtime. And there's an API gateway to protect your models built into that. And then efficiently build AI applications using the AI Agent Builder service. Of course, we also deploy microservices from NVIDIA NIMs. We've been doing that for some time. So simplify the infrastructure is a key theme for us. Deep learning VMs are a big feature in that. We've been doing this now for well over a year. But now we're taking things to a new level, talking about models as endpoints. Model endpoints appear when you bring a model to life, as you saw me do in the model runtime, protect them with the API gateway, improve data management with the data indexing and retrieval service. So you're not necessarily down at the VM or Kubernetes level here. You're at the service level, as you would have been in public cloud. So this is a very public cloud-like experience, as you saw. We can do customizable AI workflows with NVIDIA blueprints and build RAG pipelines. The simple RAG pipeline that I showed you is a starter, but these RAG pipelines can get more and more sophisticated with NeMo Retriever, with re-ranker models, with guardrails models, with optimization models, with models that test other models, for example. There's a lot you can build into a RAG system if you want to. We support all that. So to learn more, check out our VMware Private AI Foundation with NVIDIA webpage, and we have an AI and ML webpage. There's a lot of information on VMware.com that can help you if you just search for VMware Private AI Foundation with NVIDIA. You can also contact us using this quick code on the right-hand side here, QRC code. If you take a photograph of that and fill in the form, we'll be in contact with you and we'll do a workshop with you to take you one level deeper than we've gone today. So I'm going to pause here and say thank you and open it up for questions.
And while we're waiting for more questions, I think the most important here is, if you want, you can just flash that page back again, Justin, the resources page.
Yep.
This contact form link and the barcode, right, will you take you to literally a minute form. Fill this form in, and our experts will get in touch with you and kind of get you started, right? I think the most important here is you want to be able to get on your AI train quickly, and we've got the experts to do that, right? So just go to this link. we'll share the link, share this deck as well as you can just scan this barcode and fill it in quickly, and we'll get in touch with you.
And we're going to be at the Explore conference in a few weeks'
Yes.
time. Both Shobhit and I will be there. We'll be on the booth. We'll be giving talks, and do sign up for Explore. It's going to be a technical conference, and there's going to be a lot of discussion of AI and the infrastructure that we've been talking about to you at that AI conference. So we'd be delighted to see you there at Explore 24th to 28th of August.
Yep, we're both going to be there.
Awesome. So now if we got any questions, take a look here and see what's going on. And just as a reminder, links will go out to the recording of this session, as well as a link to all of our previous sessions. So if you've missed any of our previous programs, you can catch up through those links and share those.
I did see one question from Danny about, can we benefit from NVIDIA Marketplace inside of VCF in any ways?
Good
Well,
question.
I answered the question as you saw here, Danny. We, inside VCF with VMware Private AI Foundation layered on top, we actually integrate tightly into the NVIDIA Marketplace. By that, we mean the NVIDIA GPU cloud. We bring down components from there, optimize models, for example, optimize runtimes. So we do benefit in a big way from VCF as the infrastructure and NVIDIA NGC. And that's all built into VMware Private AI Foundation with NVIDIA. You could do this by hand if you wanted to, but VMware Private AI Foundation simplifies this in a huge way for you so that you can handle the changes that go on in this AI world very easily. So that would be my recommendation to you. Do a POC on VMware Private AI Foundation on top of VCF to test out the functionality and to see actually the integration with NVIDIA for yourself. And I think that's it for questions.
So far, so good. All right. Well, and hopefully we'll see some more folks out at Explore when the time comes. In just a few weeks, it seems like it's just around the corner right now. So we'll be ready when the time comes. All right. Anything else here? Not seeing it. So it looks like we're pretty good. All righty, folks.
There is one question if you have a minute.
Sure. Yeah, we do. Absolutely.
Justin, you want to take this one from Manuel?
I only see one question in the Q&A currently, and that's the one that I answered here.
Are we going to have the ability to customize the runtimes?
Are we going to have the capability? Sorry, I missed this one. Yes is the answer, Manuel. You can customize the runtime in the sense that you can choose which runtime from a collection of runtimes. You saw me choosing VLLM as the engine to run my model. There will be a set of these. You can also instruct the model to behave in a particular way if you want to customize it that way. So there are advanced features, which I didn't get into here, that would allow you to give instructions like prompts to the model, as well as the data that's fetching from the vector database to customize it. So yes, there are customization features that are available to you inside the services I talked about. Yeah, that's a great question.
All righty. Well, with that, we are officially out of time and got the QA tackled. Gentlemen, thanks again for joining. Always good to see you. Look forward to seeing you explore. And to everybody out in the audience, thanks for joining today. Keep a lookout for the link to the recording for this session. And we hope to see you out at Explore. And with that, everybody have a good day. We'll talk to you soon.
Awesome.
Thank you.